French coaches are there, Mike?
No, there
They
aren't many
keep
now.
recycling them.
I
Well,
still think Gallant was perfect for them, but
I
whatever.
don't even
That's
know
about
if he speaks French though, to be honest. He's got the name, but I don't think he ever speak. I don't know.
he's from the East Coast, so the odds are he knows French. But I mean,
Ah,
was he
either.
assistant there, Mike?
Yeah,
Was
he
he ever
was.
assistant?
Yeah, he was an
And you
assistant
never
when
heard
they.
him speak French?
Nope, nope, not once.
Hmm.
When he was an assistant when they went to the semifinal, actually, in
Why do I have a feeling
2014.
Giancarlo's looking this up as we speak?
I'm
Nice.
not.
Nice. Hi, and welcome to the show. This time we discuss the return of PK Subban to Montreal for a special tribute to honor the former Hab. Some general chatter about the NHL, including some Leaf talk, the Arizona Coyotes, and what the future holds for Connor Bedard. And lastly, we discuss the Habs regarding their recent lackluster play. Is Connor Bedard going to play center or wing in the NHL? Are the Coyotes a team that can ever put together a legit NHL team to compete on the ice? Will the Habs plan to include Martin St. Louis as a long-term solution as head coach, or will they find a more experienced replacement? Welcome back, and Happy New Year to all of you. We're back for 2023, and we're ready to share our views and opinions to anybody that wants to listen. So please, take a load off, relax, and welcome to Hockey for Fanatics. I don't know if you guys want to revisit the Subban trade. They celebrated Subban tonight in Montreal. I don't know if that's something that you guys would want to talk about.
So how did it go? It's obviously it's over. How did it go?
Yeah, it's over. It was good. It was
Did he
nice.
cry?
He didn't cry. No, I was surprised actually. I expected him to cry, but he did not cry. But he got a lot of cheers. I mean, they chanted his name a few times, but it was good. But, I mean, I told you before how I felt about the trade. I don't think that they should have traded him for that return. I was okay with trading him. And the more I hear about his side of the story, the more I understand why they traded him. Because he was like building his own brand and stuff. And he was pretty honest about it, to his credit. Like he was basically building his own brand, and the team was concerned. And the team was like, you play for us. And he was like, well, how do we make these brands coexist, is the way he put it. And I was like, wow, okay, so obviously you're a businessman, I get it. But so I don't blame the team for trading him, but I just didn't like the return. So um, that's just the bottom line for me, based on the age of Weber. If Weber was like 5 years younger than he was, then I would have been, yeah, sure, let's do it.
That was a
Even
memorable day, Mike. I
yeah,
remember that day.
yeah, there was so much going on. It was like Stammer re-signed in Tampa. Subban got traded, and I think the Taylor Hall deal
The
went
Taylor
down.
Hall.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, that was
yeah.
crazy.
All the insiders went nuts.
Yeah, there was just, I mean, it's funny. It's like feast or famine. It's slow some days, and then the other days you get 6 stories that break or whatever. So, but anyway, it was nice to see him come back. And I believe him when he says he never wanted to play anywhere else. Like, yeah, I think his game kind of went south. I think he played well in Nashville for 1 or 2 years, but then after that,
He
he just
did.
wasn't the same player anymore.
No,
So,
no, he did.
yeah,
Well, I
and
mean,
yeah,
when you think about it, both teams ended up going to the finals, eh? So, I mean, they
yeah,
kind of at least got something out of those deals, but I'm not sure Weber really was a factor, but
yeah.
maybe
A lot of people. I screamed out loud actually listening to a Montreal podcast earlier today because people were talking about it and they were like, "Oh, the Canadians totally won the deal," and I was like, "Oh, you got to be kidding me!" Like, I can't stand when people say that because they're just falling into the same trap over and over again, where you're trading for a player that's literally over the hill, right? Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, you're creating a window for yourself to win if that's one of your core players. That How old was he when they traded for him? Was he in his 30s? I think he was 32 or something like that. It's crazy.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you can't expect. Like maybe if he's playing in your second pairing, you can have that expectation, but it's
The sad
crazy.
part is, as soon as that deal happened, the first thing everyone was saying was that, well, I don't think who got screwed at the end by the. Remember they're saying because he had signed for, I guess it was eight. Was it an 8-year deal that
Yeah, he
it
was
was all
signed by
front loaded, but it
Philly.
wasn't at all. But wasn't it all front loaded or something? There was
Yeah,
a
it was
whole
signed
issue.
by it was signed by Philly. Yeah, and it was
Said 40 million up front or something, some
yeah,
crazy number.
yeah. Right. Right. It was a deal designed for Nashville not to match, right? And and they ended up
Dude,
matching. Hey, what's going on? Welcome.
Yo yo.
what's up, boys?
Not much. We're just catching up.
You sound like you just got out of bed.
Yeah, I wish. Just running around because we just finished dinner and I'm trying to get stuff done quickly. I don't want to leave everything on the poor wife. But Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, guys.
Yeah. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, buddy. Yeah, it's been a while. Oh,
hmm
Canadians just tied it, just so you know. It's 1-1.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
I got the two
Nice.
backups in net.
Canadians are playing well though. They're out shooting them 15 to 8. So they heard their coach. The coach called
Who are they
them
playing?
Pat Nashville.
Ooh.
Yeah, the
Was
coach.
Weber there, Mike? Weber should have been there. Like,
Yeah,
did
you
they?
know what? No, they Price showed up though. That was news.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Oh, did you see the handshake?
yeah, that was
That was
nice.
nice.
It was definitely nice. Yeah. It
I
was
saw that. That was cool.
that was another thing that I didn't like. eh, Michelle Therrien cut that out. I don't know. I like when guys enjoy themselves playing the game. It's not. Uh, I don't. It doesn't have to be all business. I think having fun is part of the game, and I think that actually makes you want to play more. You know what I mean? I'm not saying like I don't like the Carolina thing. I get that, right? And I've gone on record saying I don't like when they make a mockery of it, but the triple low five that the Canadians used to do, that would happen when the opponent wasn't on the ice anymore, and they'd be like just celebrating at the end of the game. It's nothing crazy. Michel Therrien basically figured that he didn't like it, so he stopped it, and that was the end of that. So it was nice to see that again.
That's a level of stupidity that
Yeah,
like is John Tortorella like. You know what I mean? Do you
yeah,
know how many people do stuff like that right now? Like even the Boston goalies, they
yeah.
give each other like a,
Exactly. They
a
hug.
chest pump.
Yeah, they
Who
hug. They hug each other.
cares?
Yeah,
Who
exactly. Like,
cares?
what's the
Like
difference? What's the difference between
I
triple
don't
O
I
five
don't
and a
understand.
goaltender
Yeah,
hugging? Like and that's the Boston Bruins who are like the epitome of
yeah.
all business, right? Like,
If
so
anything, you want more of that stuff because I hate the Habs, but every time I'd see them do that, I could have put a smile on my face because I thought it was cool. I was
yeah,
like, you like that brotherhood, that camaraderie, and like
yeah, they
that's
were
what you need more of in this stupid NHL. Like it's so boring and so vanilla. Like let them do fun stuff. Let them do things that just fun stuff because the new generation, that's what they want to see, right? They want to see
right,
things that are interest to them.
right.
I don't know.
Yeah, just little things.
It-
Like I
I,
said, it's
I'm,
fun, right? It's
I'm on the
fun.
opposite side though.
Really?
You don't like it?
But why
I want
though?
to. I want to see
More
just
anger?
more hatred, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. I miss that, man. I
Well,
do.
there is
Yeah.
there's some truth to what you're
I'm
saying.
with Dave on that.
Yeah,
No, but you
Teams
can
they
have
don't hate
both.
each other, man. I don't know.
You can
I
have
don't
both.
know. I don't know. I'm just going by the old days when there wasn't any of these shenanigans going on. Like I just miss that. Like even me, like I don't even hate the Habs. Like it's like there's no rivalries anymore. Like it
yeah,
just. I think
yeah.
it's more. Maybe the fans have more than the players do now,
For
and that's
sure.
why we kind of not me, but maybe not you guys, but the fans kind of go use social media to spew venom and stuff because the players aren't doing it.
Hmm.
So they don't see it on the ice. They just see all these spoiled rich guys that go wherever the money is, not necessarily staying loyal to a team. But I don't know. That's just me.
I think there's a point to what you're saying. Like, hockey will always be an emotional game. That's the way I look at it, and it'll always be a physical game. And I think that's going to bring out that hatred sometimes. I think you see it in the playoffs more, like maybe
A little
less in
bit
the regular
more.
season, but you still see
Oh
the
yeah.
regular season rivalries. It's just maybe not as much because those rivalries are things that get built out, over time. Like Montreal and Boston. Right now, Montreal is irrelevant, right? So there's no hatred to be made there. All right. And even Montreal Toronto isn't really a rivalry. They haven't really hated each other, right? Um so
They
it's
should.
well,
It
I think
should be,
that's what
but they
Dave is
don't.
talking about, though. Like
Yeah.
it's not there anymore.
hmm.
Like
To
when you
Dave's.
watch Pittsburgh and the Rangers or Pittsburgh's and Flyers, like they still hate each other, but
Mhm.
this Montreal Toronto rivalry is like dead.
Well,
I'm
But
gonna be
to
listen.
Dave's.
In the '80s, when the Leafs would get kicked out in the playoffs, which they actually made quite a bit in the '80s somehow, but I guess because of the Snorris division. But I really didn't watch many finals. Like once they were out, I could not watch another team win. I couldn't stand it. I just could not stand what if I can count on one finger how many finals I've watched in the '80s. I just couldn't do it anymore.
yeah.
uh,
I can
And
relate
it's
to
like
that though.
it's
I can relate to that to a degree.
but even you now, but now it's changing. Like even you, Mike, you were cheering for the Leafs for a while. It's like this is crazy. What's going on? It's like
I
bizarro world.
I was for sure, but it was like okay.
But you never would have done that in the old days. Never,
For
never.
sure, but,
Yeah.
but but I'll tell you why. Like a little bit of my thought process
Yeah,
for backing the Leafs is because I do like when I like obviously we've all been watching hockey our whole lives, and I like it when teams aim to win. That is essentially where like I've always cheered for the Habs because that was the reason that I cheered for the Habs, who just scored by the way. It's 2-1. Um, like I cheered for them because they always wanted to win. It was always an objective for them to win. And back before the
yeah,
salary cap, maybe it was stupidity of youth or whatever you want to call it. Like people always were under the illusion that they could win the Stanley Cup every year. You know what I mean? Like we're all guys that are around the same age. When we were kids, we were always like, "Oh, there's always next year. There's always a chance for us to win the cup next year." Even if that wasn't really true based on the roster, we always had that somewhat of a belief, right? But now with the salary cap being introduced, I think it's even more difficult to build that roster. So when I saw the Leafs,
yeah.
I did see the core there. The core talent was there to win cups, right? I
Yeah,
do. I
well, I
still
get what you're
believe that.
saying. You and I used to have these talks. I know you were saying, look, this is the way you want to you want to succeed because then you would say, okay, look, maybe Montreal will build through the drafts, etc. I get that part. Okay, but how much of this could impact from the fan point of view because of these hockey pools and fantasy sports where you're cheering for teams from players from other teams that you would never cheer for to get you points. Then you like that player, and then you it's almost
Yeah.
like he's on your team basically, right? Because you're in a pool. So I think some of that has to do with it as well. Because I
Yeah,
don't know,
sure. Sure. And betting,
it's just
the betting
change. It's
too.
just change, right? It's yeah.
Betting,
Oh, even that.
right?
It's
Yeah.
just change, right?
Yeah,
It's a business. You've always said it, Mike. Those are your words. It's a business now,
it
and
always was a business, and everyone always corrects me. When we were kids, it always was a business, but now I think the pendulum has shifted even more so, right? Like that's just the reality of what we're seeing, whether it's board
Nah.
ads, digital
It
board
was always
ads.
the same.
No way,
The
man.
only difference is you're an adult now.
Uh,
That's it, and you
maybe,
notice these things. When
maybe.
we were kids, you don't notice these things, but there was always about money. Like look at the Harold Ballard days of literally selling players for money,
Yeah.
right? It was always a business, bro.
Yeah, that's
Always.
fair. That's fair. But now they are squeezing now though, whether like I think
that's
it's
crazy.
when I say it's swung too far, like it's like how many revenue streams are you going at, right? And
Yeah.
like I think it's pretty I don't want to use the word immoral, but like when you're talking about gambling and betting and like again, like the board ads and stuff like that might not be immoral, but my goodness, like you're literally prostituting yourself out, you know what I mean? Like
It, it's it's desperation. That's what that is, right? Because Gary Bettman is feeling heat, seeing the NBA grow exponentially, seeing all these markets
yeah.
grow huge, and NHL is not thriving. And then their guys, which is his employees, is the owners, are looking at Gary Bettman going, hey, what's going on here? My
Yeah,
NBA team is making billions of dollars, but you guys, you can't do,
yeah, I understand.
nothing. So
But
what's going on here? So
But are
he's
they
like,
making
okay.
money? That's what I'm saying. Like, this is where I have no patience because, like, are you making money? I get it if you're losing money, okay? I get it. Like, if you're
Not
not
making
making
money. Oh, the
money,
owners,
yeah,
the NHL owners,
yeah.
sure they are. Have you seen how much they're worth
Well,
now?
that's
All
what I'm
these teams.
saying. That's what I'm
Come
saying.
on,
Like, you're
man.
making money. They're just squeezing that Tomaso. That's what I
It's never
mean.
enough, Mike.
Yeah.
It's never enough.
Their margins are like ridiculous now. It's like it's simple math. It's expenses and profits, right? And you get the difference. So
For
you
sure.
expenses and revenues and you get your profit. And those profits are definitely getting higher because those all of these added revenue streams are generating more income for them, right? Like it. So I admit I get a little frustrated because I don't care about all that stuff. Like I say, I don't cheer for balance sheets, right? Like these guys are rich enough. They're already rich. They don't need any more money. So I'm cheering for like I'd rather them get goaltender interference right. You know, can we get that right,
Mhm.
guys? Can we
I
can
agree.
we can we get some technology on the ice to help us with this, maybe, or even a system that can help us with this? Let's focus our attention on that instead of board ads or gambling.
Well,
You know?
we need more noise. That's the problem, right? Like if we need like the media and like they're the voice for the fans, right? And the media doesn't give a crap.
Ah, but that's why
They
we're doing
basically
this
do,
podcast in part. They don't
yeah.
care about us anymore. Those
No,
guys are
they
all
don't.
bought. Yeah, they're all bought. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
What are you
yeah.
gonna do? But one little thing that Dave was always mentioning about um, like the rivalry. So I go back to that little quick topic. I was noticing this the other day, right? So Leafs traded for Hunt, right? For Arizona, was it Arizona? Or they got
No,
Hunt? Yeah. Where did he
Colorado,
get?
no?
Colorado.
Col-
For Malkin?
no, Colorado went. No, he got traded from
For
Colorado
Colorado
to
claimed him on
Arizona.
waivers from the Rangers, and Toronto traded Colorado for Mulligan. I know Hunt well because I have him in a fantasy league, and ever since
Oh,
he's
it's
gone to
Timmins.
Toronto, his stock
Sorry,
is even worse.
I'm thinking Timmins for the big guy. Curtis Douglas. Okay,
right.
so yeah,
Mm.
so they traded Malgin for Hunt, right? And the way Hunt was playing previously before joining the Leafs, like you noticed like a huge difference already in the way he plays, and it was driving me crazy because like we talk about this all the time, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
Obal Kubal or
Right.
whatever.
Obey
He,
Kubel.
he was
Right.
like leading in hits, da da da. Comes to Toronto, does
Nothing.
nothing,
Yeah.
absolutely nothing.
Right.
First game in Washington, he has like 9
Yeah. He
hits.
gets
Got
And it's
suspended.
like,
suspended.
Did he get
He gets
yeah,
suspended?
he got
yeah.
suspended. Yeah.
So we're like, what's going on here, right? So I'm looking at it and looking at it, and I'm like, it's like I can't believe it. It gets so obvious, right? So the way that the Leafs are told to play is a certain way, right?
Oh,
They're
sure.
told not to go run around and hit.
Sure.
They're
Sure.
told not to stay away from the scrums. They're told to like just if anything happens, just skate away. Like they're like you see it. It's
Yeah,
so
that's their
obvious, right?
philosophy for sure. That's their
Yeah.
Mike,
philosophy, no
So
Mike
doubt.
brought, Mike brought
what's
it
the
up
point
with
in bringing these
Felino.
guys in?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's
Yeah.
the
Why?
point in bringing these type of guys in if they can't play that role?
Yeah, it's
Like
weird.
Yeah,
even like a
waste.
Labushkin last year, they brought him in and he started hitting. Everyone loved it, and then the coach told him to tone it down.
Yeah.
It's
I
like,
don't I
what are
don't
you
get it.
Yeah, but
doing?
why do they do that? Like, why? What's their reasoning? Like, there has to be a
That's
They
reason
don't. They
Kyle
don't
why.
want you to
Dubas.
be. My
But that's
guess
what I'm
is
trying to
that
tell you.
once you
It's
when
Kyle
you hit
Dubas.
someone, you're out of the. They think you're out of the play.
Right.
Yeah.
You're taken out, and that's their philosophy. Has it worked? We've seen the results are there, guys. It's 0 for 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
This is the last kick at the can, right? If they don't get by Tampa Bay first round and
But that
probably Boston second round,
But that's what I
it's
was
over.
alluding to, right? Like we keep talking like what this team needs, right? The Leafs, what they need, and so forth. But Kyle Dubas is looking at his team right
Hmm.
now. I don't think he's thinking I need a power forward on the left side. I don't think he's thinking I need a big, strong defenseman. Like I don't think that's happening. I honestly don't. Like
Yeah,
everyone's talking about this in the media and this and that. I honestly don't think that's like why. Why are you gonna bring a guy in like that when he's not going to be able to play like that? Like it doesn't make any sense.
yeah, it's
He's
a
just
waste
gonna
of a
bring
trade.
in. Yeah, you're gonna like it makes no sense at all. Like right now everything is obviously working, and by now and the trade deadline injuries happen. But what are they going to do? Bring in a better Yarncroc? Like that's all that he's going to do. and you're going to spend a first round pick for that? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
But he's already explained what his philosophy is. He says we want to be able to, when we don't have the puck, we go get the puck. That's what he says. He's not saying we're going to go and beat them up in the corners. That's never been his philosophy and never will be. Otherwise, look, after Muzzin went down, he never replaced Muzzin. He was the only guy that went out there and hit people. Fans love Lyubushkin, like you guys say, and he never replaced him either. So he doesn't put any value into that, and you're gonna see that he sees it's working now. That's fine, but again, it's regular season. Even Daryl Sutter the other day said it. It's a different game in the playoffs. It's not like it was in the old days where people beat each other up for the puck, but it is tougher. The ice gets smaller, right?
Yeah, you get less time.
And,
You see different
and
angles. Yeah, for sure. No doubt about it.
you
Oh,
said it again.
you guys.
What?
I was just gonna ask you guys as Leaf fans, like just watching the team play. Do you guys have any hope of them getting out of the first round this year?
It's a coin flip, right?
They're
Like the way
playing
that they're playing
phenomenal.
right
They're
now.
top 5 in the league, without a doubt.
They've
Well,
always
it's not.
been in the
It's
top.
not. But it's not that though. For me, they're playing much better defensively. They have regressed since Riley's come back, but as a team, like team defense, they have been playing better, right? Like it is, like that type of game is better suited for the playoffs. But like we've always said, come playoff time, you need an element to succeed because Tampa Bay, because that's who they're going to be playing, knows how to play playoff type hockey. They know how to keep you in the perimeter. They know how to like block shots and do all those things.
They're
The
gonna
Leafs are
put you.
going
They're
to
gonna
be,
they're gonna put you
they,
in a position that you don't want to. You're not comfortable in.
yeah.
They know where your weak spots are. Yeah.
Leafs can't be a perimeter team against Tampa because that's what happened last year. You can't. You have to drive to the net. You got to stand in front of the goalie. You got to block his eyes. You got to do all those hard things. Leaf players won't do that. And for some reason, until they realize that, nothing's going to change, right? Like Tampa's easily for me the favorite of the two, because don't think Tampa's going to be sitting on their laurels here. They're going to add at the deadline.
Oh yeah, they will.
They're all in.
They
Oh
always
yeah,
do.
So,
they will. They will.
so they'll be even better.
I'm curious to see what they add. Like, what are they? Do they even have?
I heard that they're targeting Kane at the moment. That's
Get
one
out
their
of
main
here!
targets.
Get out of here! Come on, for real?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm serious. That's
How's
what
this
I was reading.
possible? Hold on. So they got no cap space. Who are they gonna get rid
May
of?
say find a way. I mean, like there's
Well,
always
okay,
a way.
but let's okay, they'll find a way. But let's
So
realistically look.
I read as well. Arizona is going to be looking to be a big trading partner come that time, just with
money,
the intent of taking cap.
Yeah.
So there might be a
those
few
guys
three-way
need?
trades.
How many
Yeah.
draft picks do these guys need? Don't they have like 4 for second rounders this year? And I don't know.
Well, why wouldn't you, right? If you have
My
that,
point is that eventually these
do
guys
it.
got to start building a bloody team, right? Like, I don't know. I don't
next
know.
year. Next
Well,
year.
put it this way: if they don't get Bedard, like this team has been so bad for so long, they've yet to pick a stud up front, or like, they don't have anything to build around. Are they waiting for Matthews for real? Because that's a long time from now.
No, but that's all excuses. Like, how can you look across the pond from you and see what Seattle's doing this year, and then say you're still garbage, right?
That's my
Like
point.
Seattle
Like,
just came into the league,
but that's
and
my
there's
point. Like,
I don't know.
when is it enough with these draft picks and start building? Like,
Yeah.
what's the excuse? It's not cold in Arizona. There's tons of golfing all year round. Like, I
We
don't
all
get it.
know
What's the
that it's a,
problem?
but we all know it's a phony team, right? Like the guys,
Oh, all of us
they
hate
got
him.
they got more Hall of Famers on their roster than than most teams in the NHL with Datsuk and Pronger and Hossa. Who else they got? You know what I mean? Like they're all it's all bullshit. Like it's obviously like I call it the bit bucket. Anytime you want to bury a contract, you call them, right? Like they're like the garbage men. They collect everything, right?
Yeah, but they could turn things around very quickly. If they get that new arena, like Arizona is not a shitty market. They're a really nice market and people would love to live there.
What,
There's
to live
people
there? Yeah,
right
okay.
now.
I'm talking
Yeah,
about a hockey
it'd
team
be a
here.
prime location. But you can switch that around. All you need is good
Yeah.
hockey people to go in and take over that organization.
Hey,
Because
the
right now
time
they don't have good hockey
time
people.
time will tell. Like we said on the chat the other day, there are three markets. There's one, they're gonna come no matter what. Right? The Habs, the people are gonna show up no matter what. The Leafs, they're gonna show up. Win or lose, it doesn't matter. Whether you suck, they're gonna come. That's market number one. Market number two is they're gonna come when you win, right?
Mhm.
And then market number three is they're never going to come, regardless of whether you win, right? We talked about Florida being in that
Look at
category.
Florida.
Yeah,
Exactly.
President's Trophy team, it couldn't
Yeah.
sell tickets like that. That's a bad phony market. I'm sorry, like,
Yeah.
and that's why I say time will tell with Arizona whether they're a good market or not. I agree with you. Like, as a nice place to live. As a guy that's lived in Toronto my whole life, yeah, it'd be nice to live in a nice hot place my whole
Mhm.
life, right? For the rest of my life. But whether it's a hockey market, that remains to be seen. You're right. Like
Yeah.
whether they have the tools there to build a good team, and then see what happens. Time will tell, I guess. Right now, they haven't been. And like Dave's saying, like how long do you need? How long do you need to establish a team?
For sure.
They could have built a team by now.
I
And
think that they're a team that you do need to watch though, because they are arguably top 5 for prospects right now, and this is before the chance of getting Bedard. Um, they do have some good pieces in Lawson Cruz. Like if they keep him, like he's a solid player. Nick Schmaltz is pretty good. Clayton Keller's pretty good.
yeah,
But they
Keller.
got some
Keller's good.
really, really good guys coming up. Like Dylan Gunther, is that how you say it? Guy in
Well,
Canada
Yeah.
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he looked freaking amazing with Team Canada, right? Yeah, and if they do end up with Bedard, I mean, maybe they throw them together. They got a lot of other guys in their system too. They got Cooley and they got Connor Geeky.
Right.
They got Ratty's brother, Ratty from the Islanders. They got his brother in the system too.
Right.
Nice. But
So they do
but
have players coming up.
what's confusing is then why
I
trade
should hope
Chikrin?
so.
Why trade him? Because like it's not like he's got a year or two left. I could have sworn he's got like at least 3 years left.
Yeah,
So
three
what's
plus
the
this.
what's the risk? Why the
Uh,
rush in trading for him right
maybe
now?
he
Well,
wants
look at the
out, and
price
maybe
though.
he
Look
wants
what
out.
they're asking for. They're asking for 2 first-round picks. I think anybody would rather that over him.
I see what you're saying, but and
Chikrin,
I think it's
yeah.
more towards what Dave is saying. I think he wants out. That's
For
what
sure.
I think Chikrin's the one that's like tired of the bullshit and playing for a
It's
high school
possible.
arena and
It's
like
yeah.
like it's a joke. People keep coming and going, but I think this year is the year. Like this draft, they got to hit, and then regardless if they hit or not, they got to actually make an effort in
Yeah.
fielding a real team. They have to. They can't keep
Yeah,
going like this. They just
Chikrin,
can't.
it's
just to touch on Chikrin before we go any further, Chikrin's got 3 years left, including this year, and he has a modified no trade that kicks in after this year. So that might be why,
Oh,
Tommaso.
I
They're
That's
see.
part of the reason that they'd want to move him now, right?
and he's a
Yeah.
UFA. And he's a UFA at the end of the deal. So
Mm.
we've talked about this all the time about losing assets for nothing, right? Like what they're really doing is making a decision to say, and it is a pretty high level decision to say, is this guy going to be part of the solution for us, or do we move him now and maximize the return? And that's
yeah.
Well, and
okay.
So
You got
also
to
they're
make
gonna have
that
to
call.
re-sign him, right? And they're probably thinking about having to
No,
re-sign him.
how?
And
No,
what's he
you
gonna ask
can't.
for?
He's a UFA.
he
It's not.
won't even be there, man.
No,
He
Yeah,
won't.
if he wants to extend, let's for whatever reason he wants to extend. Maybe they're doing good in 2 years, and he wants to stay there. How much is he gonna ask for?
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
we
I
don't know.
think.
But what's the problem? They're
Well,
gonna
why
have
do you think he wants
tons
out
of
then?
cap room.
But why
But
do you
What do you
think
mean
he
he wants
wants
he's not
out?
out?
a young chicken. I mean, he's 26, 25.
24,
He's
24.
24 years old.
Is,
Yeah.
is he
No, I get what
24?
you're saying.
24. Yep.
Okay, so when
Yeah.
he signs, he'll
He'll
be
be he'll be
26,
25. He'll be
27.
25 this year, obviously. But yeah, yeah.
So he'll be 26, 27. He's going to want 8 years because, who doesn't? So then they're going to be stuck with him until their mid 30s. So I don't know. I'm giving them the
What
benefit of
what's
the doubt that they know what they're doing, but I mean, they probably don't know what they're doing. So
well, I'll
Mm.
put it this way: if he wants a big contract, he wants to inflate those numbers. He's not going to inflate them in Arizona.
I think
I
it's the
still
opposite. I think he would inflate them in
I
Arizona.
still think they should trade him because
I
that link with Ottawa has always been there. The Brinkat and him makes sense in a package somehow. Where Obviously, Otto's got to give up a little more because they're taking a $4 million salary compared to $9 million. But that's a type of deal where at least Arizona is getting a player that they can build. I don't want to say he's a corner piece, but he's a top 6 forward, right? At least you're not getting draft picks.
Yeah, and they could
Something
probably
like that
dump
makes
price
something
stuff.
like that makes sense. And if these guys get Bedard, I mean, that city does not deserve him, but that's the type of team where Bettman is hoping he goes to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if they're gonna
100%.
fix a draft for Arizona. This is the one.
I was gonna say I didn't want to could be a conspiracy theorist here, but I am
Oh,
the
please,
more
you
I
guys make
see
me hear it enough with Pittsburgh. You better be bringing that up.
the more I see these things happening, I'm like, it's gotta be that these guys are not gonna let like they're I don't know. I didn't want to go here, but yeah, I think at this point, I would not be surprised if they would fix it. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, I think they fixed it for Pittsburgh. I do. Do I think they fix it every year? That's where maybe my hopefulness comes in, where I'm like, there's still some fairness in the world, but that's
They
that's
gave
kind
us
of what.
Crosby, but the rest is all fair.
Well, okay, let's not get into Pittsburgh here because we talked about the fact that they were going to go bankrupt, and it was like, oh, how convenient that they got this superstar player again to save them. So either way, whatever. Like if they get Bedard, I don't know. I don't know where Bedard's going to go. I think he's going to be a Hab. So I don't know about you guys, but
No.
Possible. Sure, it's
No, no
possible.
no,
way.
I'm
I think you
kidding.
want
I'm
him to
No
be
kidding.
a Hab.
chance.
Of course, I want him to
You
Why
be
would
a
it be
Hab.
want
no
him to
chance?
be.
Sure, there's a
It's not
chance.
no chance. It's
No.
not no chance, but it is.
Habs are
The league would
bottom 5.
league that wants nothing to do with Montreal getting like a French market getting a superstar like that. Like that's a waste for Bettman.
Come
He's
on.
thinking American market, he's thinking big
Connor
American market
McDavid went
or
to
save
Edmonton.
it.
Connor McDavid went to Edmonton, dude.
Yeah, but Edmonton's got the
Yeah, what?
I
Gretzky
don't think
factor, right?
these things are not
Yeah,
fixed.
but what does
And
These things are
Montreal
Montreal
not
and
have?
fixed.
Montreal doesn't have that? Come on.
No one cares about the
No,
Habs.
get out of here. And now I know
Like
you're
Bedman and them, they don't care about the Habs.
yeah.
Classic
They
Tomato.
don't. Like
Yeah.
like Leaf fans care about. I'm not Leaf fans. I mean hockey fans care about the Habs, right? They respect them. They're a top original team.
What are you talking about?
et
Montreal's
cetera.
one of the biggest revenue generators for the National Hockey League. Come on. You got to
They
be
don't.
kidding
They
me.
don't care. They don't care about the Canadian market.
No.
I
Period.
can't tell if he's being serious.
No,
or
I
not.
can't tell you. There's no way. There's no way. We're Canada fuels the NHL a lot of the time. So Bettman better appreciate Canada. Not all the Canadian teams, of course, because there are some that are carried, right? But Montreal, Toronto, they're juggernauts with regards to revenue generating for the league. So, and it's part of that. You need those teams in order to carry the Arizonas of the league, right? That's why you're able to expand to all these phony markets because you have some stable teams that we've already established will come no matter what, win or lose, right? It doesn't really matter. It's an instant fan base, right? Yeah, Bedard. I think Bedard, like we saw him. Like, what do you guys think he's gonna be though? Like, I know. Let's here reiterate or let's revisit what Giancarlo thinks about Bedard. What do you think, Giancarlo? Do you still believe what you said before about him?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to let that tournament completely change my mind. I've seen plenty of players do amazing in that tournament and then be absolutely nothing in the NHL. I still think he's small. I think if he's put in the right situation, yeah, I think he could probably be an 80-point player, no problem. I don't know if I call him generational talent. I need to see him in the NHL. I need to see him perform.
Right.
He's just that kind of prospect to me. And I think it's mostly to do with his size. I think he can be a goal scorer. I think what this tournament proved is that he will be very good as a winger.
I don't like
don't
when I
see
hear
him
that.
as a center.
That's
So
what they're saying.
how can as an undersized, like, again, I'm gonna probably contradict myself here because I like if you're undersized, I think you can be a centerman. I think being an undersized winger, I think it's a lot harder for you to make your
Really?
mark in the league.
I think it's the opposite, to be honest.
The
Put it this
opposite
way:
for
was
sure.
I
Marner?
don't think
Maybe
so.
Giancarlo can answer this because he's more in the prospect pool there. But was Marner not a center in junior or no?
No,
Yeah,
Mitch
I don't
Marner.
know.
I'm trying to remember because he played with who?
Marner's
Max
a wing.
Domi. Played with
Yeah, Max
Did he
Tkachuk,
Domi
play with
and
Christian Dvorak?
Montreal
He
guy.
played with Dvorak.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Montreal
Dvorak
guy,
too.
Dvorak.
But he was
That
always
was
a
the
winger.
center.
Okay.
Always.
Because they've tried him at
So
center too. I remember, and they said they weren't going to put him there. He's
Yeah,
just too
I
small.
believe.
yeah, no, I think you're thinking Willie. Willie's the only one that they played center, not Mitchie. Mitchie's never played center ever.
Okay. I could have sworn I heard it.
Well,
They were going to.
I know in London he played with Dvorak. That much I know, and Dvorak is a center for Montreal. So
Yeah, it was Domi, Dvorak, and Mitchie. That was the line,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like that dominated, and he like broke records, and he was just like a beast. That last year they sent him down, and like we've talked about this before. Like when you come into the league, to put you at center is extremely hard. Like even Matthews came into the league and he got babied at center, right? Like he had no defensive matchups. He had like no nothing, like Babcock totally carried him and protected him as much as he could because playing center in this league, man. Like I was looking at numbers for Suzuki and just recently, and it's just brutal. Like 5-on-5, like defensively, he's just getting eaten alive, and it's hard. It's extremely hard to keep up with men when you're 5'10", 5'11", a buck 70. Like it's so hard for them to
Suzuki's
do, right?
208 pounds, by the way. But
So
okay.
I will say I googled it because I was kind of curious to what Dave was saying, and yeah, Mitch Marner was drafted as a center, but he's only ever played wing.
What do you mean
But
for the Leafs?
yeah, yeah.
No,
I'm
because he
reading
played
this
with
article.
Chuck and Domi. I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but
That's what it says. Remember, Marner was
No,
drafted as a center by the
Mitch
Leafs.
is a winger always.
Yeah, but,
I mean,
Always.
he's a
He's
winger.
never played center.
yeah, but
He's never
Tomas,
played center with the Leafs, but I think in junior he did.
I'm,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
looking at his
Once he came to the
stats.
NHL, never played
I'm
center.
looking at his stats in London. He played on the wing. Let me see here. Yeah, he played. It says position right wing every year, so maybe he played some center. I don't think he was drafted as a center. What's your source on that, Giancarlo?
It's an article
I'm
from the
looking. Yeah,
Athletic.
there is an article from
Really, eh?
Sportsnet as well. Yeah,
Huh.
Yeah,
I think they expected. No, I think they expected him to be a center with the
Nice
Leafs,
goal.
but he's just too small,
No,
guys.
I tell you, I put my house on it that he was drafted as a winger. He was a winger. I got like trust me on this. My brother-in-law is the one that put me on Mitch Marner
Oh, I
because
agree with you.
he
I'm not disagreeing with you, but he's saying there's an article where he was interviewed and Marner said he wants me playing center in a few years. So that's what I got to start working on. But I think he's just too small, and I think the
who
same thing, like Giancarlo
like
said, I think the same thing is happening with Bedard, where they envision him more as a winger. To me, he kind of reminds you of Marner with a $10 million shot, though. He's got a
yeah.
great
no
shot.
no, but who's saying this to him? Like when he made the
But
NHL or back in OHL?
no, when he got
Like
drafted by the Leafs, Mark Hunter and those guys envision him as a centerman.
oh
I guess because like you're
Well, I
saying,
guess
if
with
you're
his
like Mike's saying,
playmaking
if you're
ability,
smaller,
I
but I
think
think
it's
it's like what
easier.
Mike was saying. Yeah.
I think it's easier to be a centerman as a small guy. Maybe it's because I'm a little guy myself, so it's like obviously it's tough to play any position, but along the wall, you're gonna take a beating, right? And I
yeah,
think
but you
that
can hide. You can hide
you can hide
wingers. You can't
defensively.
hide.
You can
You
hide
can't hide
defensively.
centers, bro.
How you can hide defensively as a winger, but I think that's probably what it is. So they don't want to have to deal with the deficiencies with the player because you're going to miss assignments and stuff like that. But I think
Yeah,
physically the game is a lot tougher on you as a winger, personally. So you're
I
putting an
don't know, Mike.
undersized guy on the wing. That's just the way. Like I said, I'm looking at a guy that's, and again, I know a guy like Caulfield isn't the biggest guy, and maybe he's showing me that you can play the wing, but how many little tiny wingers do you see? I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm
the
used to
brink
like the
cat,
little
Kane. Like you
uh,
can go on and on.
Kane's not that small, but I understand what you're saying. I guess what I'm
Maybe
saying is
5'11".
it's not that small. Yeah.
No,
Uh,
but you know what? So when you play defense as a winger, your responsibility in defensive zone is cover the point.
Yeah.
That's your job.
Yeah.
That's it. Sit in the corner and make sure that the
Like I
point
said,
guy
that's
doesn't take a
defensively.
shot.
I'm aligned with
But
you.
as a
That's
center,
yeah.
it's completely different. You got to come back. You got to fight. You got to back check. You got to
No, but
win those
that's
battles
I'm
in
aligned with
front.
you. I'm aligned with you. That's why I
Like
said
it's not even
defensively
close.
no, but I'm saying defensively, I'm agreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with anything you're saying. Defensively, you can hide as a winger. For sure. You cannot hide as a center, and
No.
that's what I think, you know, why. It's not the physicality of it. It's not the size of the guy, is what I'm saying. It's the fact that you need to be a good two-way player. There's no such thing as
Mhm.
being a one-dimensional center anymore, right? You got to be two ways, and maybe that's what they're worried about.
But
And
size and
yeah,
strength helps, right?
oh sure,
Like
helps
if you
everybody. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, if you got a
Yeah.
6'2", 220-pound center and you got like a 5'10", 180-pound center, who do you think's winning the matchup in
Well,
for the puck, right? Like
it
it's
depends. It
like
depends on
obviously
the
you have
player.
abnormalities like Datsuk is a perfect example.
Yeah.
That guy is small, but he's like built like a horse down low. So
Hey.
he did it on purpose so he can win those puck battles and stuff,
Right.
right?
Right. Right. Well, it was see. I like Bedard, so I mean, time will tell. Obviously, there's no rush if he can become a centerman down the road.
Hmm.
Um,
It also depends
uh,
where he ends up, right? Like if
yeah,
That'll
he
that's
ends
true.
up
determine
in
a lot.
if he ends up on a team that has a quality center, then
Then he can
put him on the
slot
wing
in.
to start,
Well,
right?
either that or you can
Why not?
slot him in as a number two, right? And
Yeah.
less worry about I'm not saying defensive responsibility isn't a must, but he's obviously going to be playing for a team that's bad, right?
Hmm.
So
Never know,
do you let
Mike.
him grow?
Never know, man. Depends
Yeah,
who wins that lottery.
yeah,
It could be
that's
the
true.
Pengs. Could be the Penguins.
Oh, enough with this. I don't want to hear it. If Pittsburgh
If
wins,
Montreal wins the lottery,
oh,
I'm
stop
telling
it.
you right now, the first thing that Montreal would do is put a for sale sign on Caulfield. That's like for me, that'd
Yeah,
be the first
Why?
thing I do.
because you
A
can't have two
hundred
Well,
percent.
guys.
because Bedard is,
You can't have
or
both of
it could
those
be a better
guys.
version of him, right?
Let's
Yeah.
Yeah,
cross that
you
bridge. Let's
trade
cross that
Caulfield
bridge if we get
for.
to it.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is I would move Caulfield for something different. You
No,
know,
I
like this is
agree.
all we keep complaining about with the
Yeah,
Leafs having
yeah,
balance,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like you don't want too many Smurfs on your team.
I won't disagree
Suzuki,
with that at
Bedard, and
all.
Caulfield,
I won't. I
no,
won't.
like
I won't
forget it.
disagree with you at all. Like I think it's especially when you're looking at the fact that Caulfield's going to want to get paid, right? Like
Hmm.
that's even more of
Exactly.
a yeah, that's even more of a reason to consider making that move. Yeah, no, hey, I mean now we're talking though. If if Bedard becomes a Hab, I'm all of a sudden feeling a lot more confident because it's been pretty rough watching these guys. I admit I've turned off my share of games over the holidays because oh man, I knew like I don't mind losing, but oof, they've been stinking the joint out recently. So
But it's okay. Take it on the chin this year. Like we, there's the same thing with Arizona, but obviously not to that ugly of a degree. And in this year's draft, then you hopefully you get a good top five pick,
yeah,
and then you can okay here figure out what the fuck is going on with Price, and then
I don't
start
know.
pushing forward,
Yeah,
right?
I don't know.
Start pushing, start building your team again. Because right now they didn't build this team to win. Come on now,
No,
like
no,
you know
of
this
course I
team's
know. You're
not
not.
built to win.
I
Yeah,
know that. It's just
so
I guess what and I was saying this at the beginning when I was talking to Dave. Like that is it as easy as flipping a light switch? Like, are you gonna go from
Yep.
getting
Yep.
killed every game to expecting to win every
no.
game? Well, that's what I'm
It
saying,
takes
right?
time.
Well, there you go. So they're gonna
How
need
many
to.
years did it take for Jersey, right? How many years did it take for Jersey to be
Well, New Jersey.
like this?
What do you mean? New
Jersey
Jersey
had many
finished
top
second
picks.
last year. They f-
Yeah, but
How
they
that's
many?
what
went
I'm
How
from
many?
saying. They've been terrible for like the past 3, 4 years. Like it takes time for them to get these guys in and
yeah, I
like
don't know.
start getting older. Like you don't just come into the league and all of a sudden, okay, everyone's a superstar now. Like it takes time,
Yeah, that's
right?
true. I'm curious though because I think the Canadians media plays a role and the fans also play a role and the impatience is there. It's not from me.
Hmm.
It's not from me, but I am worried about that, right? Like that's the one worry that I have about the management team being influenced by that noise, right? Like
Let me ask you,
Yeah.
Mike. How is Suzuki and Caulfield playing
well, during this
overall, like
stretch,
day in day out? Not just a stretch. Overall, like have they
well,
been
again,
carrying the team?
they're definitely the best two players on the ice, no doubt about it. Like they got one line, that's it. Doc is playing well with them. Like he's not. I don't think he's good enough to be good on a line by himself, if that makes any sense. So when the three of them play together, they play well. They're not great, but they play well. And put Doc on any other line and it falls off, right?
Here, let me give you some stats on Suzuki. Nick Suzuki started the season on a tear with 23 points in his first 18 games, a sizzling 105 point pace that some figured meant he had arrived as a bona fide top line center. Others remain skeptical about this. There were several warning signs about that screamed regression. Suzuki started the season with an absurdly high on ice shooting percentage of 16.7. Montreal scoring 4.9 goals per 60, off a 2.1 expected goals per 60 with him on the ice. Regression has come sharply and swiftly since Suzuki has been on ice cold as a result. His last 23 games, he has just 11 points, with only 5 of those coming on 5 versus 5. The end result is a 68-point pace at the halfway point, right in line with what many expected to start of the year. Never in doubt the power of on-ice shooting regression.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
one thing
Take that
that
for what you get.
well, one thing that BS stat doesn't talk about is the fact that Sean Monahan got hurt and Suzuki's been, basically the only centerman that they have. They don't have a second center. So the reality is they end up getting a larger workload and it's a lot harder. And the reality is, I've already said Suzuki's not a top line center. He's a second center. So people thinking that he's a 100-point man are nuts, right? Like you got to be careful with overvaluing your player too. So
Yeah,
I think 70 points is a solid centerman in this league for me. I don't, especially as a guy watching a team that has had trouble scoring at all. So I always said Suzuki was a number 2 for me. But I do think that the loss of Monahan contributed to these numbers falling off more than anything else because he did mean a lot to this team. Ever since he fell off, ever since he got hurt, they've been struggling, even to do anything out there. So, but I mean, yeah, sure, like, you could throw stats at anything. It's just at the end of the day, they're young players, right? And as long as every player comes with pros and cons, and I see way more pros from a guy like Suzuki than cons. But back to Dave's point, Caulfield and Suzuki are the best 2 players they got. There's no doubt about it. There's no, you can't really point fingers at those guys because the
What about
team's not built
Caulfield? What
around
do you
them.
what are your thoughts on him? Like as a player, like besides the points, forget about the points. Like how's he playing?
Well, yeah, besides the points matter, but yeah, I he's definitely a pure sniper. He has underrated vision, but he's not as much of a puck mover. He's more of a he makes clever passes, so he lets the puck do the traveling, which is fine. But he does need the help in order for that to happen, right? So if he wasn't playing with Suzuki, for example, then those passes are going to be like you're literally giving the puck away. Think about that
Yeah,
for a second, right? You're giving the puck to somebody else. Now you better hope that that somebody else you're giving the puck to is going to do something creative with that puck because you're never going to get it back if you're going to give it to a guy that's not a good enough centerman to get it back to you, right? So
sure.
so that's the one thing that I've noticed with him that is not a concern. I look at a player and I look at, like I say, pros and cons. He's got an elite shot. He's got good vision and he knows where to find the puck. Like he's a hockey IQ, whatever you want to call it. Like he is going to be in the right place at the right time. There's no doubt about it. He's got a gift when it comes to that. He's got an amazing release. But again, obviously, he's a little guy. He's going to have trouble winning those battles along the board. So you better hope that that sense of anticipation is going to be able to make up the difference for him. So it's hard to evaluate because the team is just not complete, right? So, and they're not really playing any semblance of defense or structure or system at all. So the stats are going to be there for them, and they've been doing well stat wise, but I guess it's hard to evaluate, is what I'm saying. But I see positive things offensively, so I'm gonna focus on that. Right? That's the way
For
I'm looking
sure.
at it. Yeah.
Every year will change, right? Like they'll get a new coach and they'll be asked for more defensive play.
New
Like a perfect
coach.
example is
I can't.
there will be a new coach
No way.
eventually. Like I
Oh,
don't see him sticking around when they're actually good,
oh,
Why
come
right?
not?
on.
Like you need a coach that has a system,
I think that's
right?
the
To actually
plan. I think the plan is for him to grow into this role. You might be right at the end of the day, but I don't think that's the plan. I don't think the plan is for them to get another
I think he's a
coach.
perfect fit for them.
Uh,
really.
I think this is the plan. I agree with you,
I
Tommaso.
think right now, I think he's a perfect fit. But in 3 years from now, when you're actually
Yeah.
trying to win something, is he going to be the guy?
Yeah, that's
I don't
that
know,
that
bro.
it's
I'll be
interesting to
honest with
see.
you.
Yeah, you make a good point.
Experience matters in this league, right?
It does, but what French
So
coach
does
has it?
French. So does French.
Yeah, there's no French
Yeah.
coaches that have that
No.
experience, right? Like,
Suzuki's getting all the boys learning French now, so it's obviously something that's very important, as Mike's always alluded to. So I don't know how many French coaches are there, Mike.
no, there
They
aren't many
keep
now.
recycling them.
I
Well,
still think Gallant was perfect for them, but
I
whatever.
don't even
That's
know
my
if he speaks French though, to be honest. He's got the name, but I don't think he ever speak. I don't know.
he's from the East Coast, so the odds are he knows French. But I mean,
Ah,
was he
either.
assistant there, Mike?
Yeah,
Was
he
he ever
was.
assistant?
Yeah, he was an
And you
assistant
you never
when
heard
they.
him speak French?
Nope, nope, not once.
Hmm.
When he was an assistant when they went to the semifinal, actually, in
Well, I have a feeling
2014.
Giancarlo's looking this up as we speak.
I'm
Nice.
not.
No.
Nice. No,
No,
I don't.
but
I looked it up once. I don't think there was a conclusive answer.
no, but just the only thing I'm alluding to is like you have to progress as a team, right?
Yeah.
Like Leafs right now, you see them now over the past couple of years, like they're changing. They're saying, okay, enough with the shinny type hockey. Matthews, you like it's nice that you scored 70 goals, but this year we want you back checking. We want you coming back. And you've noticed a difference in Matthews the way he's playing. Like he's not
Hmm.
cherry picking as much. He's helping back. Like he's playing a much more rounded game. You're going to need that, right? You're going to need that from Suzuki and Caulfield to change their game because the game that they play, you don't win in the playoffs. The Leafs
Yeah,
are a
it's true.
perfect example.
Yeah.
They show you that you can't win. Steve Eiserman, how many years did he play for Detroit and they would never win because they played one particular way?
That's true.
Scotty Bowman came in and said, "Okay, do you want to win a cup? Yes. Okay, you got to play like this. That's it, and that's what you're going to need."
Yeah, and Eiserman bought into that, and and obviously
Yeah,
Fedorov helped too. But yeah, like
hundred
that.
percent.
But that's you're bang on. Yeah, they're not playing. That's why I say like it's hard to evaluate whether or not St. Louis is going to be the guy like that. Oof. Like I didn't like the hiring when they first hired him because I wanted them to to be finishing at the bottom, and I knew that St. Louis would have a hard time accepting losing because he's not that way. He wants to win, and that's the only, I guess, concern, if I had to use the word concern, would be if he is going to be able to digest the losing. He is running out of things to say when he does talk to the media. Like he's not saying he's throwing the players under the bus, but he called them passengers last game. Um,
Yeah,
right, and it's halfway
nothing
through.
wrong with that.
It's not. They played like shit, right? Like they haven't played
Yeah,
well. So, but I also would say, hey, I'm sorry, coach, but it's your job to get these guys prepared to play. If you're losing 3-0 in 3 minutes, then they were not prepared to play, coach. You know what I mean? So I'm not pointing fingers, but I am going to say on the outside looking in, sorry, coach, but if you're down 3-0 at the beginning of the game, it's on you to a degree too, right?
sure, but you're
So
playing the hand that you're dealt, bro. Like, come on, like it's like look what he's got. You can't expect him
yeah,
to be like
he's not
every game
Tortorella. I
in.
understand he's not Tortorella.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's. I don't see him having a problem with the players because of who he is. The players look at that and they respect him. He's a somebody, right? He's not
yeah,
some nobody coach. They look at him like this guy. He won MVPs. This guy was a star in this league, so they value his opinion.
yeah,
And when he says something negative about them, I don't think he'll be
yeah. It's true.
uh,
It's true.
thing. I think it'll be like, oh, okay, coach was right. We play like garbage, and
It's true.
I like
There's a
if this
respect. There's
continues
a
for three
respect there.
years,
Yeah.
then okay, I understand. Eventually, you get
Well, that's
sick and tired of
you.
it. But right now, I don't think it's a big deal. He says something
It's
like that.
interesting though that you brought up the whether he's going to be the coach. Like I haven't even thought that far ahead. I guess it's kind of like just year by year we'll see how it goes, right? And I think that's probably what the Canadians are going to do too, right? Like they have hopes that he's going to progress and mature as a coach, and I'm sure that becoming a little bit more structured is part of it. I don't know. But again, we don't know. These are all unknowns, right? Like whether or not he's going to take that step as as a
For
coach or
sure.
tutor or mentor, right? So
Who knows if they bring in a defensive specialist
yeah,
as an assistant coach that can implement a system, you know?
yeah,
And
it's
then
true.
there you go. And then he handles the offensive part, and the real coaching duties, and then you bring in a defensive specialist
Yeah,
to help with a structure and stuff, and that could work for sure.
you definitely need structure and systems. Like the playoffs are like you can't just play run and gun.
No,
You have to know, you have to skate with purpose, and you have to be able to do it at the highest level, so at the highest speed. Uh, So you can't
for
really
sure.
make, and that's really the difference between a, a regular season team and a playoff team, right? Because you have that. We talked about how that game changes, but anyway,
Yeah,
we'll see.
Tampa when they lost to Columbus, right? That was the kick in the butt they needed. They were like, we can't do this no more. We can't play shinny
Right,
hockey. We can't just
right.
show up and expect to beat people 5-1 every night. We got to get down and dirty, block shots, and protect our goalie. And they did, and they got results for it.
Right.